Right, something slightly different again. Weathering a Bachman branch line POA Scrap Wagon, and it is the later style body. Obviously this is very fitting for my scrapyard build at the minute. It's going to be a very simple weathering process. We're going to start off with a paint fade using oil paints. After that we're going to move on to the airbrush, get some dirt and grime in there. And then I'm going to decide whether I want to do some rust streaks or if I want to use weathering powders to create the rust. Oil paints to start with, just to create a bit of a paint fade. Sorry about the squeaky chair again. So this is a very simple process, and all we need to do is choose a few panels that we want to tone down. And I've got a new camera angle, or trying a new camera angle I should say. So if I block the camera, forgetting that I've moved the camera, I do apologise. It does take a while to work in, but once you get it moving, spread around the panel right, it soon comes. Well, that's going to teach me, isn't it, to wash my brushes correctly. I am going to leave that in the video. I think most people would have edited that out, but we're all human, we all make mistakes. Let's work this painting finally. Like I say, it does take a little bit of time to get working in, and it looks very over the top at the minute, but if you just give it a little bit of time, it does start to get to the position where you want it. Right, we're getting there now. So I'm going to move to the next panel just for now. Start off with tiny amounts of paint. I mean, it is oil paint, so it's very easy to remove. If you don't know, oil paints take a very long time to dry. And when I say a very long time, I'm talking days to dry. So that's a very simple paint fade achieved. I'm going to repeat the process on the other side. Obviously I'm not doing this to all the panels, just a select few panels. I'm going to check this side and make sure I don't copy the same pattern. So this time I think we'll go one down. So I've got two of these POA wagons. Like I said, there was a gift from my uncle for my birthday. I've had them in my possession quite a while, and I didn't want to weather them because at the time of when he bought me them, I was very new to the weathering scene, so I was a little bit nervous about doing them. But I feel much confident now, much more confident I should say. So that there is the paint fade achieved. Like I said, it's very easy, very simple. Right, now you'll see here on the ribs or the cross members, not quite sure what the terminology is, I've got some on there and I don't want it on. Just take a finger and it wipes straight off. See, don't be scared of oil paints. They can make your life much easier, I promise. Next step, we're going to get the airbrush out. We're going to use Dark Earth Model Air Vallejo. I've already mixed it up, so I don't know why I'm shaking the bottle again. I've already weathered the first one of these, which I will show you towards the end of the video and compare them both. This one I'm going for a little bit lighter than the other one. The other one's quite heavy, rusty. This one is going to be more grime with rust, if that makes any sense at all. I'm just going to switch that light off a second just so I can see without a shadow. It looks a bit overkill, it always does when you first get the airbrush out, but fear not. I don't know if you noticed this, when I'm airbrushing and I'm not actually applying paint, I'm still pressing down on the trigger. I'm sure you can hear it, and that's because these are acrylic paints. Acrylic dries very, very quickly out of the airbrush, and it's something known as tip dry, and it dries on the tip of the needle, and when it does, it creates a blockage and you have to basically clean the airbrush out. So keeping the air constantly pressed down avoids most of that, but not all of it. So I'm happy with that for the bottom. I'll just spin it round. I'm happy. You know, it looks realistic. We're not going overkill. So now I want to run a bead just across the top. So although I'm trying to prevent tip dry by keeping the air constantly pressed, the bubbles in the cup indicate that I've got dry paint on the needle. So I've got two choices. I can clean it, or I can unscrew this cap and just with finger and thumb just slide it down the needle, being very, very careful not to damage the needle or your fingers. It looks quite heavy at the minute, agreed, but I'm going to let that dry fully. It doesn't take long with it being acrylics, like so. Again, it looks heavy, but the next stage is the powder stage, and the powders are going to blend it and tone it all together. Alright, I've changed my mind super quickly. I'm going to add a black wash and a streaking grime wash to it as well. This is going to accentuate all the detail, all the ribs. It's going to make them pop. But to do that, we need to prep the surface. And all we use is, because we're using washes, is we just use a gloss varnish. Not a matte, a gloss. The washes run and flow so much better on a glossy surface. Now that, I know it looks rough, but please just bear with me. It's going to blend together. But that now needs a good at least 20-30 minutes to dry. So I'm going for a coffee and I'll see you right back. That's the gloss varnish now dried, and that is now going to allow us to get the black wash flowing round and bringing out all those details. But I can't stress enough how important it is that you use a gloss varnish, not a matte varnish. Both these products are enamel paints, so that does mean we need a few extra things. We need an enamel thinner, which is going to help clean up afterwards. Don't need to go mad with this, because the effect it gives is very, well, I'll let you see for yourself. But like I say, you do not need to go mad. I know you're not seeing much of this, but it's important that I'm streaking it downwards, and I can only do that with it facing me. This side, what I've done is I've created a streaking coming from this here. I've created it on the right side of here. I've done all of this panel, but I've made it heavier on the left hand side. So you can really play around with this, but it's one of them that does take practice and sort of learning the product. So definitely do it on a scrap piece, no pun intended. We're on to the powders now, and this is where the whole thing is going to get tied together. And it is at this point I am going to say, the reason I'm not doing anything on the inside is I'm going to create loads, scrap loads, for the inside of both of them. So that's why you're not seeing me do anything for them. We've got a light rust and a medium rust, and I do have a track rust if needed, but that is quite dark. We're going to start off with these two. Now, our very first step, what we did was, we did a paint fade. As we can see, this one, this one, this one and this one has had a paint fade done to it. So we don't want to touch those too much with the rust. We can add bits, but not lots, because it's just going to hide the effect, and we don't want to do that. We spent time doing it, it looks good, let's not hide it. I'm going to start off with a light rust. I've said it before and I'll say it again, powders, very difficult to remove, so go easy. Start off light, very light. And this is going to be nowhere near as heavy as the other one I've done, which I will show you, like I said, and we'll compare them both together. Powders, it's all about working it in, getting them to do what you want them to do, and the only way you can achieve that is by moving them round. But wherever you move them, they are going to end up covered in powder. Don't want to cover the logos too much, obviously. Don't forget as well, there is a matte varnish to apply to this once we're finished, which is going to tone the colours down again. This is a paint faded panel, and all we're going to do is just do the top area. Like so. Try wipe a bit off the brush, and then we're just going to drag the bottom bit down. Just so it sort of fades. There's a bit of a faded line. I'm not sure if that'll pick up. No, it doesn't really pick up on camera, but it just softens the edge between the rust effect and the paint fade effect. It just softens it all and makes it look smooth. And come into this panel. Obviously we've got information on this, so we don't want to cover it completely. What we could even do is cover it completely, come in with a little bit of enamel thinner and just clean it back. So I'm happy with that. If I just tilt it to you. The light is really not helping because it's just bouncing off it. Let me get the other side done, get the ends done, and then I'll move it out of this light and we can take a proper look. So this is of course the one we've just done. Lightly weathered. You can see the paint fade doing quite a very good job, if you ask me. The rust is in there. I'll spin it round. Same process again. Now I'll bring in the one I did earlier. Quite a bit heavier. Same style of course, but it is slightly heavier. Like so. So I think those will look fantastic on the scrapyard. Any questions, leave them in the comments box. Hit that thumbs up button and I'll see you next time.